Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Journey to Purpose. Today I have the wonderful Anne Niosi. She is a life coach with a lot of experience. Anne, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
First question is always the easiest one, I hope, is where in the world are you?
I have to ask myself that sometimes, but I'm from New Jersey in the USA.
Perfect. So anyone in New Jersey, look out for Anne when you next around. Perfect. So Anne, you've had quite an extraordinary life. You've done a lot of things. You have grandchildren as well. So
Yes.
You've seen a lot of the world. Let's start with, how did you become a life coach and why?
It was very interesting. I did a lot of work with an organization called Landmark Education. They're worldwide. They're in over 50 countries. And there's a lot of self-development type of work. And in with their curriculum, so to speak, they incorporate coaching. So I was doing that. And then a friend of mine went to Australia and she heard about a coaching program that you could get paid to coach. And I'm like, well, so she told the owner she wanted to bring it to the U.S. And he's like, I'm not ready to expand to the U.S. She goes, gee, that's too bad because I am. So she came back and there was about 7 of us in the first class in the United States. And then we took the training and then he came out and certified that we were in fact ready. And it was great. We were the first 7 in the United States with results life coaching. And that was over 20 years ago.
Oh, amazing. And congratulations for being one of the first as well.
Thank you.
So life coaching back then was actually quite a new idea, I'm guessing, because it obviously it's everywhere now, but back then it was quite a novel idea. What drew you to it?
Well, I got to see that my purpose in doing the training and everything was, and in doing Landmark, I actually ended up on staff with Landmark too. And I got to see that my purpose on this planet was to empower people to be all that they can be, to know and to really know the power that they are and where it comes from. I think we kind of make bargains in the playground, the sandbox, and then we deal with, maybe not having the best relationship with teachers or classmates. And you grow up and you deal with life, but you also swallow a lot. And until we really get to recognize that, wait a minute, I don't have to do that. I have a way of being able to recognize who I truly am. And a lot of it for me, it comes from spiritual life and knowing that God's in me. And I think one of the most empowering things that I ever reached was the realization that God is in every single person and that I need to see every that way. No matter how they're acting, that the person is the person. What they do is something different sometimes,
That's it. The person, there's a thing in neuro-linguistic programming, which is the person is not their behavior.
Exactly.
Something
exactly. Yep. So we can love everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's wonderful because whether or not you have a belief, I think treating people in a great way is the right thing to do and how you want to be treated. But it's also obviously if you have faith as well, it becomes more important to do it from the point of view of what you believe. So that's wonderful. Now, over the last sort of 20 years, what sort of highs and lows have you had during this
oh my goodness
life?
Well, I've been divorced 34 years. So I'd have to say the really first big low was going through divorce and having 4 children to raise. And my oldest was 16, my youngest was 2.
Gosh.
So it was 16, 13, 10, and 2. And just having to make that decision. And also because of my faith, I grew up Irish Catholic, and there's a certain distinction of Irish Catholic that comes with that, I believe. And not wanting to be the first in my family to do that. And my older brother dealt with it also, but so it was a little difficult, and I had to go through a process to realize that, yes, it's okay. God's not hating me for it or condemning me for it. And that was a huge thing for me, to the point where I got my annulment at the same time as my divorce. I didn't want to go through the pain twice.
Sure.
And
Makes sense.
I remember coming home from work and opening up the mail on my front porch, and I got the letter from the annulment board, and my knees literally went out from under me. I had that experience. I almost fell when it was like, okay, you've gotten your annulment, and realizing for me, it was like God saying, it's okay. That's the amount of power I gave the church at that time.
Sure.
I'm not that same person anymore, but that's what it meant to me at the time. Yeah. So that was one of the first things. I mean, I had a fire in my home where I was renting. That was kind of life-changing for me. Thank God nobody got hurt. We all got out on time, but that kind of flipped life around a little bit. And a year ago, August, I was in a bad traffic accident. I was sitting at a light, but my car got totaled. I got burnt and was actually out of work for the past year.
Thank gosh.
So without a car for the past year. And I've never had that. I've always loved my independence, So luckily, 3 years ago, I moved, and I am now just 3 minutes from my daughter. So they have a couple of drivers in their house, and that's been a godsend for me to help out.
I can imagine.
But that opened up a lot of time for me to really look at my life and introspection. And I think it was, not that God wanted me to have an accident, but he knew he had to stop me, literally stop me, because I was always a go, go, go. And I got some messages along the way, and I can see when I look back, I really wasn't listening, And so this literally stopped me, and I got to see just how loved I am, that he will take care of me. And no matter what's going on around me, and I really learned to trust that. So I feel like I'm more powerful now in my relationship with him. It actually came forth for me. I was talking to somebody online that I hadn't met. We were supposed to meet in person, and I had asked a question because he didn't really say anything about spiritual life. And I said, do you feel you have a relationship with God? And he was like, no. And to me, it was like a little shocking, like, really? Like nothing? And what happened was my granddaughter got very sick, and she was in the hospital last week in ICU. And I asked him for prayer, and I realized he couldn't. He just said, go take care of your family. We'll talk later. And I just, it made me realize what was really, truly important for me. That if I'm going to be in a relationship with someone, he does, I don't need a Bible-toting man. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. But someone who has that relationship that I have the freedom to share my life with as well, and that he can share his. And that really brought it to life for me, how important it is for me. So I look at everything in life and say, okay, what's the lesson? What's the lesson to learn here? And there's always another step, There's always another step.
No, absolutely. And I like that. It's interesting. So my grandmother was Irish, and she got divorced. Now this was back in my parents were born in the late 40s. So I want to say 20s, 30s. I've lost count. No, 30s. I think it must have been. And she got cut off from her entire family because she got divorced at a time. I mean, my grandmother was a very stereotypical Irish lady. She was 5 foot. She had red hair. She took no nonsense from anybody, but also did what she wanted to do. But it cost her family at the time.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the world has changed. Well, has it? But it's funny you sort of bring up the Irish Catholic thing because and how your relationship has changed.
Right.
And do you distinguish between, I guess, what is the church versus what is your faith?
Absolutely. Big difference. I was raised, like I said, Irish Catholic. I was introduced to Indian culture. I've always had friends from India. So that opened up another arena for me. And I think through the divorce, too, I had to learn how to get support. I got it from my family, but using community as well. Learning that the police really do work for me. I pay their salary. And raising teenagers, I've had to call them a couple of times, so-and-so's out of the house without permission, and they didn't like that. But, and I told my kids, I pay his salary. He's working for me. So, Not every single mother realizes that. It's a word that needs to get out there. But I'm come to a point now. I actually went to a non-denominational church where I moved to a new area about 12 years ago, and that's where I ended up going, and found it just didn't work for me. And I'm at a point now, I'm very, very happy with my relationship with God. I don't feel the need to go to church. I miss community. I miss, that feeling of, having community in that way. But I also have another community as well that I can share with. So, and I think that's the important thing. People they think I go to church, like I do that, And I'm like, yeah, but what's happening in here, And they use it as an excuse, like they don't have to spend that time. And I feel it's important to spend the time and really honor him and trust him and know that he's there for us, but that we're also here for him and to listen to what he wants. And I found if I listen, I get my answers, we just have to learn to take the time to listen.
It's interesting. I was just talking to somebody else. I don't know if you know the analogy of the man who's drowning. He's on the roof of a house and a guy comes along with a boat and he's like, look, I'll save you. He's like, no, it's okay. God will save me. And so he waits some more. And then a helicopter comes along. He's like, no, God will save me. He gets to the pearly gates. He's like, God, why didn't you save me? He's like, I sent you a boat and a helicopter. What more did he want?
Exactly.
And there is that. And I think the reason I bring that up is obviously you talk about your own accountability, your own belief and your own faith. And I think the challenge I have with organized religion is for certain people, it allows them to, to kind of throw off any responsibility or accountability and say, oh, it's okay because it'll get sorted out by insert appropriate religion here, Whereas what I love about what you've done is you've gone, this is what I need for me. This is how I hold myself accountable. But ultimately it is on me. And my dad was actually a Church of England vicar. And he said, don't be fooled into thinking the people who come to church are good people. That, and I
didn't pull the wool over his eyes.
No, not at all. And some people, and not just Christianity, in any religion, I think you're always going to find people who uses a religion as a reason to judge others, to be not good people. And then you have the flip side, people like yourself, I think my parents as well, who use religion as the guide for how they live their lives. But really, it's about holding themselves accountable. And yes, finding people who are aligned with your thinking, but not judging the others, just going, this is important to me. I respect is not important to you. It doesn't make you a lesser person, but it's just not where I need to be.
Exactly. And where it came full circle for me was I was driving Lyft for a while, like an Uber. We have Lyft here also. And I realized you stop to pick up somebody, and it's very human. We look at somebody, we judge. We just do that. It's a human thing. And we make up stories in our heads about what that person's like until they get in the car and we start talking. Yeah. And when I tell you that person was nothing at all like I made up in my head, and I could hear the little voice saying, Anne, stop judging. I'm telling you, stop judging. And I didn't know I was doing, like prior. I didn't realize how much I was doing that. And it just was a real eye-opener for me. Yeah, that we do all the time.
Well, we do. And I think it's so wonderful that you're conscious of it and other people need to be conscious of it. And this is why you need to talk to people who don't have the same opinion as you.
Yes,
because
for sure.
When it all comes down to it, we are all flesh and blood and we all want the same basic human needs.
It's true.
And but we also judge. And that goes back from evolution and tribal ways of living. But it's wonderful that you've had those experiences to learn to challenge your own inner thoughts.
Right. People are more loving than we give them credit for.
Definitely. It's
Many
that
times.
old thing. When there's an accident, look at the people who are helping. You always see the good people around. So that's super important.
That's so true.
So where are you now then with so car accident, no car, no work. Are you now back doing your thing. And what is
Well,
that?
what's happening is the accident was August of 23. And in January, my dear friend, she's actually my spiritual coach, actually mentioned to me about a new company that is going to be launching soon. And I've gotten involved with that. And it's such a blessing because it's like, I know this is why God told me to just stop. Just stop. And I was getting the message, stop and listen. Just stop and listen. And I see where it incorporates all of my gifts and everything I've done in the past. It gives me a sense of community as well. I can't say a lot about it because we have not launched yet. So I'll come back another time if you want. When we do, it'll be pretty soon. But I feel very, very blessed, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting time. So, just to see like that year has not gone to waste. You know what I'm saying? Even during COVID, a lot of people complaining about nothing to watch on TV or they were bored. I started a new business. I got involved with real estate. It was online. I took these courses online. And I was feeling like I didn't have enough time, to do everything I wanted to do. So I think what I do is sometimes I do too much and I don't stop enough to rest or whatever. But I think what's happened for me is it has kept my mind going. Yeah. I didn't have the same complaints other people had during COVID. I didn't take the shot and I didn't get sick either. So I was protected all the way around, thank God. And I love that. I love that about me. I'm open. I rather say yes and figure out how rather than looking at and thinking I have to choose either or. Yeah. I like the word end. I can do this and I can do this. And then when it doesn't work out, you could always change your mind or whatever, So that's where I come from.
Have you always had that approach? Because again, it takes a lot of courage. And I love what you said, which is you say yes and figure it out. That is totally my approach. And sometimes it gets me into trouble and sometimes, but there's always a lesson to be learned, isn't there?
Yes.
But
yes.
Is that something that you've cultivated in your life as a coach? Or I know before that you worked as a legal assistant and, know.
I think over time. Yeah. When I grew up, I was very quiet. I was the girl who walked home from school and passed the library and stopped at a library on the way home. I was the bookworm. I was daddy's little princess. I had to get the A's and B's, the oldest girl in the family of 7, like that. But over time, I got to see that even when you make mistakes, it's not going to kill you, In 8th grade, I was president of my class. And this is kind of funny looking back. And I decided to run a class trip. So we ran a class trip up to Bear Mountain. And I had 2 parents, my dad and another lady who was driving. We had a grand old time, only to come back and realize I never asked the school for permission to do a class trip. I never even thought of it. I'm serious.
Amazing.
I mean, my dad was driving. What did I have to worry about? I didn't think of it, right? And I got impeached as class president in 8th grade.
Sorry, for the non-US people, how old is 8th grade?
8th grade is right before high school. So I was like 12.
12.
12, 13.
I'd be like, 1, well done for initiative. 2, good organization skills.
I didn't get those parental permission slips and all that jazz.
Oh, dear. That's amazing.
But that's just on a funny note. But there was a time I worked for a telecom company, and this was after my divorce, and there was like 300 people in the room in the call center. And out of the 300, I was one person who got promoted into the finance department. And it was huge. And I remember sitting there, and one day I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I thought I was having a heart attack. I really did. And they sent me to the doctor right away. And I realized, I just needed to calm down. I was just in such overwhelm, but I wasn't going to not take the position, Sure. But I realized I was such overwhelm about it. I had to realize that, yes, if they can see me in this position, then I just need to see myself in this position, like that. Yeah. And so that's what I do. I kind of jump in and figure it out,
I think that's the secret, though. And I say this, and I don't want to get into sort of gender wars, but men do it more naturally than women do. Like men, I wonder if it's a confidence thing or just a way of thinking. And I love it when women just go, I'm going to say yes. And something you said there was they had the confidence in me, so I had the confidence in me. And sometimes I think it's okay to borrow someone else's confidence until you find your own.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But just say yes and see what happens. And I guess, you know, learning that failure is okay, learning that there's always a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
That's super important. And as you have grandchildren now, do you worry about the pressures on them, the kind of the way of thinking that seems to be everything's so fast, everything's fast paced, you must be this, you know, failure doesn't seem to be an option. Do you see that in that generation?
Yeah, I see the pressures. I think I'm blessed with very great kids with great parents. My girls, you know, really married great guys, and my son's awesome. So I have 7 grandchildren and 1 great-grandson.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't worry about bullying when I was in school. And now a dear friend of mine actually teaches on it at the, you know, he's head speaker at a teachers' conventions 3 years in a row, the keynotes, you know. And my granddaughters had to deal with that, you know. So I didn't know about it till after the fact, but it was kind of scary to me that she had to go through that. I went to a town meeting right up the block from me as a public school, and only to find that was a major issue. And apparently the board wasn't dealing with it. Teachers were telling the kids, oh, you know, or the parents, oh, you deal with that in high school. Now, this is an 8th grader you're talking about that's being bullied, you know? I was livid. I was like, I came up here just to meet people because I was new in the area, but now I know why I'm here. You know, they gave me a new focus here. So I think we kind of walk into things sometimes, and you just have to see what touches your heart. The whole idea of children trafficking, you know, it breaks my heart. So I have to look and see. And I do believe that there are sometimes things touch us because of past lives, and there's things that we have to heal and work through. And well, I believe in reincarnation. We come back and you know, again, I don't sound like a Catholic, I know that, but I believe in reincarnation. So that I believe there's things in our past that sometimes have to be worked out. And so if I'm watching a movie and I get emotional about something, I'll ask, you know, okay, what is that about? Like, where did that come from? Especially if it surprises me, you know? So I think just being open to those signs in life, you know, there's always something to learn. And a lot of times it's about ourselves. And the more we can go be willing to dig deeper, like it's like peeling the onion, take an extra layer off, and it gets, you know, you're going to cry more because the onion is juicier, you know? But the more you can heal, the more powerful you'll be in speaking with others. The better you can learn to listen. The person will feel heard. And sometimes that's all they need, you know? I think I used to come from like, I always had to do. I always had to have the right answer and do the right thing. And I'm realizing just listening is like one of the most important things in the world, to really hear where people are at. That meets their need right there. And then you can go from there if necessary, you know. But I think that's really, really important. And I've used a lot of different organizations for my own growth, whether it was Landmark, and I used Napoleon Hill Foundation with the Napoleon Hill's books. I've learned things from them that I hadn't realized. I mean, I realized I could wake up at 5 a.m. and be on a, you know, a meditation group at 5:30. And I'm like, I didn't think I could do that. And that's what got me to meet you. Yeah. I honestly don't remember the exact connection we had, but it was from me doing that, something opened up, and that's how I was introduced to you. So I love that. So, you know, whether it was a divorce group, I got in, my pastor had mentioned going to a divorce group, and I ended up on the International Board of Directors for that group. And I loved it. I trained people how to run the groups. I ran the social dances. So that was a lot of fun.
I love how basically what happens with you is you accidentally wander into something And then you end up fixing it or making it better, is what I'm hearing. That's amazing.
Hopefully.
There's just a whole city left in your wake of people who are feeling happy with themselves and a better life, and it's because you passed through.
Well, I have been let go of 2 different jobs in the past, but that also was a learning situation. I was worked for a dating service, and it's not what it sounds like, but I actually was in the call center setting appointments.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day before the internet, before online dating. And I broke industry records setting appointments and making monies for the company, until the company decided to pin me against another person who was there before me. She didn't have any competition till I showed up. And it got ugly. And I walked out when I just said, no, my integrity won't allow me to stay there. And I was working 9 to 3 in my own town. So I was home when the kids got home from school, making 6 figures. And I walked out.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I'm sorry, there is something else out there for me. I don't need to deal with this.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
But one thing I did do when I moved here, I was looking to meet people, and I started a meetup group for people 55 and over. That was just about 3 years ago. And today it's over 2,024 people are in the group today. And it's an online Zoom every Monday night. So we have people internationally that come on, a lot from the States and a lot from, Canada, but a couple of other people from England and different places. And we just talk about what it's like to date at our age. And I think it's great. We have fun conversations. We have serious conversations. Some people have met, but it's really a place for them to just talk. And I'm realizing it's a wide open arena out there. It's a conversation that not enough people are having for their senior people in their life. And it's been very interesting. So I'm glad that got started.
Definitely. Well, also, I think it's finding the balance to embrace technology, but also keep those relationships.
Yeah.
And do you find, so my mum is 75. She is really good with tech. My dad is same age, less good, but they're both really pleased that we have the tech, because last night we had a group family call. My sister lives in LA. My brother lives somewhere else. My mum and dad are somewhere else. We just hopped on a call, all 5 of us, and it's wonderful.
That's great.
But it can be scary for people who haven't grown up with the technology. So how do you approach it in your career? Have you, obviously I think you just throw yourself into it, right? And give it a go.
Well, one funny story. I worked at one point, I've done a lot of different things. At one time I worked for an engineering company, and they do their reports, like so many meters from this corner, and all of that. It's very, very detailed. So the gentleman gives me a report to type, and I'm typing it up on the computer. And all of a sudden I get a message, the president would like to see you in his office. Okay. And he looks at me and he goes, Anne, I have one question for you. Are you afraid of the computer? I said, no, why? He says, because that whole report, that 5-page report that you typed, you never saved it.
Oh, no.
I thought I could type it and the computer just saves it. Nobody told me I had to save anything. So I definitely learned as I went along about all of that, all the techie, taking little lessons, online and stuff, but, learned how to do the Excel. And I'm not really, I can do what I need to do for work. I'm not an expert. When I need help, I call my son-in-law or my grandchildren.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. So that was fun, though. I'll never forget that story.
But do you know what? It shows what we take for granted, though, because I was lucky. I say I was lucky. I think I was lucky. I grew up without computers. They didn't hit until I was at university. And so there's lots of things that I had to learn as we went along. Things like saving a file, you kind of take for granted that it's something you need to do. But actually, of course, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right. That's
so
right.
it's a really hard one. Well done.
So that was fun.
So obviously you've got this business coming up in the future. What other plans do you have to make the world a better place in your future? Because you have many.
My dream, I've kind of put the real estate thing to the side with this new venture coming up. But I do want to get back to that because this new venture is going to be extremely lucrative. And I want to leave a piece of property to each of my children and grandchildren. So that's
Amazing.
a minimum of 12 right there.
Gosh.
That I'd like to be able to do. And whether they want to live there or rent it or whatever, just to leave that with them. That's one of my goals. And to do, I'm 74 now, so I could be your mother. But
you'd get on well with my mum, I think, actually, anyway.
Yeah, it's great. But eventually, I'd have the business I'm really excited about because I could keep doing that forever. And I can't wait to share it another time about that. But also in doing the life coaching, because that's really my passion. And I bring that into my life, whether it's with the kids or the grandkids or, like sending a message that my granddaughter, she was petrified. We, a very bad thing last week, but today she's due home from the hospital. So, a lot of prayers. And I think that's where God sees me now. At this point in my life is to be that example for family as best I can. I've learned I don't want to squash my voice. There was so much of my life I was afraid to voice my opinion. You're supposed to be the good girl sitting there doing the work and picking up the dishes and, helping mommy, But God forbid you open your mouth.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, it's time for me to open my mouth and I don't want to squelch that, So putting my opinion out as far as like the U.S. election tomorrow. I had put something out on Facebook. I never did that before. I just didn't want to get in the middle of it, and I felt I didn't know enough. This year, I took more interest, and I had to deal with the results of that. There was people that were not that nice, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to quiet down. I'm going to just say what's there for me, and offer people, look, we can have a differing opinion. It doesn't have to be the end of the world, or end a relationship. And I think people have to realize that. So even that, I find it's very important. It's an important lesson for everybody to just respect that people have their own say in the matter. And it doesn't have to be the same say that you have,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I love about what you just told me, though, is that you are 74 and you are going to buy 12 houses for your children and you're going to have another business. And at a time when people go, is it time to put your feet up? You're like, nope, I have all these plans. I'm going to keep going. But also I think that's so important, though. And my parents are the same. Like they have retired, but they have definitely not retired. They are doing stuff and they're doing all sorts of things now. And I think that's one of the fantastic things about life is we don't have to conform to the stage gates, if you like, that the society tells us we have to conform to. And 74, you could have another 25 plus years in you.
Yes. So I tell my kids I'm going to live to 120.
Brilliant.
Because they deserve it.
And why not? Why not?
But I want to dance at my great-grandson's wedding.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. But I think the secret is, from everything I've seen, the older I get and the more I see, I find it weird my parents are 75 because I don't think that I'm in my 40s. So like, when did that happen? But, the older I get, the more I realize how much time there is on the one hand. And to your point of slowing down, this year, I'm actually trying to slow down this year myself to just focus on different things, different ways, have a more, I say balanced life. I don't know if that's a real thing in as a balanced life, but a more integrated life.
Yeah.
Getting it right, getting the work to the, like doing the fitness training is really important. I love languages, so doing that, trying, it's all about, but for me, it's about slowing down. But I think I've done so much in 40 odd years. I've got another 60 odd years, hopefully ahead of me. It's a lot of time, actually.
Right.
There's a lot I can do.
You can do a lot of things. Yeah. It's funny because I didn't know anybody here except for my daughter's family, her friends rather. And now a friend of mine from my divorce group 30 years ago is moving to the area. So now, we've been connected on and off over the time, but she's going to be like 5 minutes from me. We go out to dinner the other night, and there's this lady walking into the restaurant, to the diner, and I could hear the brogue. And so I had to ask, I said, where are you from? Sure enough, Castle Gregory, which is where my family was from. And I was there back in 2019. And so we invited her, come on and join us. So we had dinner together, and we exchanged numbers, yada, yada. And now I gotten to know the lady across the street who's an absolute hoot. We laugh like crazy. And it's just great. I'm starting to feel like it took me 3 years because I didn't have the car to get out to meet people either. But I'm seeing how God is like saying, okay, I planted you here for a reason, so now it's time to bloom. Bloom where you planted,
Amazing.
There's always more to do. And I don't see myself slowing down. I always said to my kids, I says, I'm not going to be the grandma in the rocking chair. That's not who I am. I probably won't be baking all that many cookies if it ain't Christmas or something. I'll make our soda bread once every couple of years or maybe. But it's funny when I'm renting a small house here with a big yard, and I'm like, the kitchen's tiny, and I'm like, no problem. I don't plan on spending much time there. So I had remembered looking for a new place and thinking I'd be down the seashore or whatever. And one day just being so frustrated. And I was like, Lord, all I want is my own house. Just like that, like the emotionally. And I found a tiny 1-bedroom house that's absolutely perfect for me, cozy as can be, with a nice big yard and a small kitchen. I'm like, God, you got me. Okay.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yep, exactly.
That's wonderful.
So, there's always something more to do and some other new way to impact people and make a difference,
Definitely. Well, he said you've got another 45 years to go from what you've just told me. So plenty of time. You get to live my life again. and yours twice. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So if people want to find you, reach out, talk to you, how can they find you?
Okay, they can always send an email to Niosi, Niosi, Enterprises, that's plural, ENTERPRISES @gmail.com.
Perfect.
That'll be the easiest way. And I'd get back to them within 48 hours. No problem.
Amazing.
Okay.
So we'll put the email in the show notes anyway. It's perfect. Obviously, if you're in New Jersey, you pass this lady. I think you're going to know you passed her because she'll be doing something amazing. So say hello.
Okay, thank you.
But other than that, and it's been amazing having you on. Loved your story. Loved your energy. Excited to see what's going to happen the next 45 years for you.
Yes.
as I hit 90, you'll be hitting 120. So that's good.
I told my kids how I'm going out. I did ballroom dancing, and with my younger daughter actually got involved. She actually did competitive dancing.
Oh, cool.
So the guys on Dancing with the Stars, the TV show, we know some of them from the studios.
Oh, cool.
And I told her the way I'm going out is, they tell me I'm crazy, but I'm like, I'm going to be on the dance floor. Nice. And I'm going to be wearing a beautiful white flowing gown. And I'm going to be doing the foxtrot. And my partner's going to dip me, and I'm just going to keep going down. And they're like, Ma, you're crazy. I go, yeah, but I'm fun.
So I will tell you a story. I don't know if you've heard of the thing called the Glastonbury Festival. It's in the UK. It's a really, really big music festival. We have all the top bands, like the Beatles. I can't think of any other top bands. All the big names, they come to do it. So one year I was a volunteer with the Samaritans. So we man the radios just because obviously there's there's usually drugs, whether or not there should be, it doesn't matter. And so we man the radios to make sure that people can get medical help. This particular year, someone died. He was in his 80s. He had been to Glastonbury Festival every single year it had been on. I think he died the way he wanted to die. That's all I'm going to say.
That's it.
Pretty certain he had an awesome time, had all of the drinks, all of the drugs, and he was done. So why not?
It's funny. My daughter's brother-in-law, he's younger, had heard this story of mine and that how I wanted to go. And he had been in from China visiting, and he says, they call me Nanny. And he says, Nanny, he says, could I be your partner? I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, when it's time, could I be your dance partner? And I said, will you hurry to see me go? He goes, no. He said, it would just be an honor to be your partner if that's how you want. And so ever since I keep bugging him, we have to start dance lessons again. You got to get the moves. So I have my partner down.
So already, when in 45 years' time, we're ready.
Yep.
Amazing. Anne, thank you ever so much. It's been a lot of fun. I wish you all the well. And when you can talk about what you're doing in the future, we will have you back on, I'm sure, to talk about that.
I'd love it. More. I'd love it. Thank you so much, Philippa. It's so wonderful being with you. Thank you for the opportunity.